I am absolutely loving the massive bounce and volatility in Bitcoin and especially in altcoins. Was I ever particularly fearful that things were about to turn bearish? No, because I have a proper indicator that prevented me from getting shaken out of anything. And today's guest, who's here, of course, every single Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. is Zero Hedge Wick. And he's going to tell you why we didn't get shaken out, because he's the one who made these indicators. We've got a bunch of charts we're going to look through here. It's kind of like the old Chartapalooza from back in the day. Search for some trades and some alpha, some things that you should be looking at here as well. There are some altcoins probably that are about ready to explode. We're going to try to help you find them. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of Wall Street. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Yeah, I fumbled through that intro today, probably because I'm jet lagged as hell and woke up at 2 o'clock this morning, and this is about my fourth show today. So you knew I was going to show up. You knew I was going to do it, but forgive me if my words don't quite come out right. I've got an amazing guest. I'll call him a co-host at this point. We're going to be doing this every single Wednesday afternoon. Of course, I missed last week when I was in Japan, but he was here 2 weeks ago and was the Tuesday guest for many months. But we're going to tell you exactly what we're looking at using trading alpha. Guys, I mean, if you're not using these indicators and you are trading, I'm not saying you need these if you're passively investing or dollar cost averaging, but like if you're trading, man, these things would have kept you from getting shaken out yesterday, right, buddy?
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Thanks for having me on here, Scott. So let's start off with Bitcoin. I mean, we might as well start with the big dog in the room.
Let's just get in it.
Okay, so let me know when you can see my screen on your side, Scott.
You're up.
Awesome. Okay, so here we have the weekly chart of Bitcoin, and I keep reverting back to this because, in my opinion, it's the most important time frame that you could actually chart any of these coins. But let's look at Bitcoin here, and let's compare the last cycle to this cycle and how it's kept us in this move the entire time that we've had this bull market going. But first, I want to start at last cycle. Last cycle, we went through what you call a stage one basing pattern. That's when it goes sideways, and we know that we're waiting for a stage two breakout. We know that the bull market is about to begin at some point. You notice that the biggest warning that we had here was this yellow shading area, letting us know that an extreme move is about to come. We do have green dots. We think it's bullish, and we finally get that breakout arrow to the upside on green dots. When this happens, Scott, and we go into stage two, you simply just ride the green dots until they stop. So last cycle, if we follow all these green dots, you literally had to do nothing but sit on your toes and watch even through these massive corrections, okay? The dots didn't stop till all the way over here on this weekly bar, which you could have taken profit, or you could have waited till the next setup, and it happened all again. Squeeze breakout, green dots, you ride it until they stop. They stop right here. And after that, we have the bear market, right? So now let's look with that in mind. Let's keep that for reference and look at what happened in this cycle. So again, you go through your little basing phase right here. After we have a little bottom, you get your breakout arrow, just like the breakout arrow on last cycle, okay? What do we do after we get our breakout arrow that goes into stage two, Scott? We ride the dots.
Trend all the way up with the dots.
Okay, the dots have not stopped even during this massive correction here, and even last night, this weekly bar is still holding green. And you know, I wasn't worried at all. Neither were you. I guess
the daily held green as well. That's what I was going to point out. So even with a $10,000 drop from 69 to 59, the daily held green and bounced above the track line, which you've talked about every week. When it's bullish, it usually doesn't even hit the track line. It bounces above. I mean, it was a picture perfect to what you've described many times in the past.
100%. And this sets me up for what I kind of want to discuss too as well on the show, which is called a top-down approach. Okay. So what that means in trading is what I like to do for my trades is I like to look at the weekly chart. And if I see a bullish chart, right, if it's in a bullish uptrend, I like to go down to the lower time frames, in this case, the daily, and then look for specific setups all throughout that uptrend, okay? And that could be simply the green dots going, consecutive green dots, pulling back to the track line and having a good reaction. These are all setups that happen. And as you can see, Scott, just as you said, when we got rejected from that all-time high, which is pretty natural. And we actually did make an all-time high. We just didn't close. We pulled down, and it couldn't even pull down to the track line, which is normally what it does before it rebounds. So still very strong, Scott. We didn't even get a follow through today. So the market's looking really healthy. And yes, you're correct. The dots held us in and kept us in the move. And that's what kind of is the value of this whole system, right? Is once it gets you in those moves, it keeps you from getting shaken out. So I'd also like to point out something else too. If I bring this down, last night, okay, if you look at my page here, I actually, oh, you know what? It's not here. Sorry, that's the render one. My bad. Jumping around here. But if you look at the 1 hour chart here, what I'd also like to discuss is how you can technically call these tops, right? We actually had a system that actually called this correction as well. So I want to show you that. Before I do, let's look at the setup that we had. We had our shaded squeeze here, just like I've been talking about. Breakout on green dots. It's above this track line. These are our three little checks to make sure that we're healthy and the uptrend is starting, right? Ride the green dots, even on the hourly chart. We've now done it on the weekly chart, the daily chart, and here it is for you scalpers on the hourly chart. The dots stop right here. You could have had all this locked in profit, okay? But let's see how we would have actually called the correction, okay? Not just the stop loss on the dots, okay? So what you do see here is you kind of see a little double top pattern playing out. And if you wanted to kind of confirm that more, you can always go into our settings, click the high sensitivity tops, click them on, and you'll see that these little T's appear, okay, all over. And this one actually confirmed the move down. What I'd like to talk about is what's the difference, because there is a lot of members that have our tools and a lot that are going to get our tools on this show. Let's talk about how you actually use these topping signals, right? And how you would have told this one to be confirmed from the others. So what we do is we look, our guide lets us know that the next 2 bars, we look to these next 2 bars to confirm the topping signal by one of these 2 closing below the topping signal's wick. As you can see, these 2 did not close below the topping signal. This is often a bullish setup in itself, to be honest. And I haven't told many people that, but this is delineated, didn't close below. The next 2 bars didn't close below this one, just keeps going higher. These 2 didn't close below. All of these got delineated until you got to this one, okay? Now, what happened on this bar? Okay, well, price action, first of all, it dropped below this track line, which is our first bad signal. You did start getting red dots. Here's your next red dot. But this very next bar did close well below the wick of the topping signal, making this a confirmed top, okay? So if you saw this, you zoomed out, you realized that it also looked like a double top, you could have got out of this move and kind of escaped all of this downdraft that we had all the way down to 59,000. I mean, this was confirmed on this close at 65. So not only do our indicators help you ride the moves and stay in them, they also give you a little bit of heads up for when we might get a pattern like this to shake you out, okay? So whether you're trading on your lower time frames or whether you're a hodler and you're watching the weekly chart, it definitely is something that can give you comfort and kind of just let you know what's to come, right? If we do have a big technical pattern playing out, okay? Do you have anything else to say about Bitcoin, Scott, about what happened in the last 24 hours?
No, I think you nailed it. And I think that that description sort of gives us context for now when we go hunting, and for the other coins that are moving.
Yes. And now let me show you this. Last night I got on Twitter, right? Because I actually posted a video on this. If you want to check my video out, it is at 0hedge_. I made a whole video on this. But after I actually did that, I started watching the hourly chart. I don't usually watch it. I'm on higher time frames. But what I did notice, right, is we go here and we turn on our bottom signals. Look what happens. Prints a bottom right here. I saw this to confirm our bottoms. It's just like the tops. You can either use one of the next 2 bars closing above the top wick, or like I tell you on Twitter, my favorite way to use it is look for a green dot after the bottom signal. So I did get in on this bar when it closed above the bottom signal, and I did catch along, and I post that on Twitter, okay? So this is how you see all our setups playing out. But let's kind of move over to one of the other coins, and I cannot wait to talk about Render, okay? So Render.
Every week.
Yeah, every week.
This thing is unbelievable. Look at that.
Look at it. So this morning I posted this chart here where we actually reached all-time highs. And I let everyone know on my tweet here that once you reach all-time highs, it's pretty much no resistance up above, and that we probably were going to break out pretty soon. I couldn't have said that soon enough, because literally 30 minutes later, we broke out in Render. And this is what we're looking at as far as the weekly chart goes. You can see I still have some fibs on here. Let me just get rid of these fibs. I think that the next target for me, everyone's asking what the next target is on render. And in my opinion, I think that, obviously we have some pullback here as we usually do when we get breakouts, maybe even a retest, right, if it's very strong. But my next target is going to be at this $13 mark. Okay, so that's my next big target that I'm looking for on render. And as you can see here on the chart here, same setups that we usually go through. It goes through your little bear market. You start putting B signals. You start looking for a green dot. There's your green dot. Eventually your next one starts the move. Okay, you're in this move here. Start getting squeeze shadings. Do we get a breakout arrow? You sure as hell heck we do. Breakout arrow on green dots. And that's where you just ride the green dots up. Okay, ended here. Got a retest of the track line, green dots again, another setup, and here we go. So render's looking really good. And I wanted to talk about a top-down approach, as I mentioned before. So as you can see, this has been in an uptrend on the weekly. So when I see this, okay, and I'm not in a move already, it doesn't mean that you've missed the move. It just means that you got to go down to a lower time frame and catch one of these moves right in this uptrend, right? Trade with the trend, trade with the macro trend. So we would simply go down to the daily chart, right? And we would look for some setups. And right here on the daily chart, again, you see a bottom signal, squeeze shading, 2 setups in one, both confirmed by green dots. And there you go. There's our stage 2 above this line, breaking out. Okay. So I like to do this a lot too. Top-down approach, make sure you use it. Let's now move over to FET. FET, along with render, with both coins that we gave last time on the show as one of our top picks, our top 4 or 5 picks, and they've absolutely taken off. I think we've killed this market on the show. Really, Scott.
Ridiculous. Yep.
Okay, so as you can see here, going with this setup, you've got your bottom signal here, okay? Green dot starting, letting you know, okay, it might go, it's not above the track line yet. Shaded squeeze, okay, we kind of know what's coming. Breakout arrow, and to the moon we go. Okay, you just simply ride the green dots, green bars. And for those of you wondering what it actually means, the green dots are your macro trend signal, and the green bars are your, the micro trend signal on a micro scale, and the bars are your macro trend. So together, it gives you a really good synergistic picture of the trend and being able to stay in it. And as you can see, like we talk about, it pulls back to the track line. You get a good reaction with the green dot. This is actually a setup in itself. If you ever miss one of my moves, okay, that we share on the show or on our Twitters, when it pulls back to the track line, if you do get a green dot off of the track line, this is often a setup in itself, okay? A retest of the breakout, boom, there we go. So this is still a coin that I think is going to be very good. This is the weekly chart, so you can do the same thing. You can go down to the daily, and you can start looking for setups. What do we have here on the daily chart on our top-down approach? We have bottom signals with a green dot afterwards. This is confirming the bottom setup. And we also have a shaded squeeze. I mean, this just makes it too easy, Scott. What do you think?
Yeah, what I find interesting, I just like while you're doing this, I'm opening the charts myself and just to get a second look. I look at FET here, and you had this very clear resistance that was flipped to support, and that's the exact same area you're talking about right there. And you basically bull flagged into support, right? And that's the same place that it gave you the trigger to go up. So I know that you created these out of similar things, right? But it's interesting that how well what happened here, aligns with that, because this is basically you got that consolidation, kind of a bull flag, and then it absolutely flew. So a lot of ways to skin a cat, but the indicator seems to cover all my other ways. And I see a bunch of people asking, like, how do you use how do you use the indicator to catch entries, etc. Well, that's what we're trying to show you here, hopefully. And I will remind you guys that if you are looking for it, it's down in the description. I didn't say that before, and this is the only place you can get 25% off using my link with the 25 off of these indicators, period. So I'll say that again at the end, I'm sure, but I just wanted to remind you because I see it in the chat.
Absolutely. Yes. If you guys are asking about it, we can go ahead and share it now. If you go down to the link below and in the comments and you click it, go to checkout. Once you're checking out, type in 25 off, 25 OFF in the discount code section, and that'll drop the price substantially. And I want to let you guys know, I don't run these sales all the time. It is because of Scott that I have extended the sale. He asked me to make it for you guys. I don't know how long we'll be doing it, but this is the longest I've ever run a 25% off sale. It's usually 2 to 3 times a year, and one of those times is Black Friday. So you have it going on right now. There's never a better time to get an edge in the market than right now in this bull market that we're having in the crypto cycle. So yeah, very, very clear. Let's move on to Ethereum. I know you and I both like talking about this. Let's start off on the weekly chart.
But by the way, I tweeted something today like this market's about to get completely insane. And Raoul Paul right under said, I don't know if he said Ethereum super cycle, Ethereum something. But when I had him last on, he was like Solana, and caught like a 10x on Solana. And we talked about how Ethereum would be next. You and I have been beating the drum on this, but I still think this is going nuts. And all I've gotten is confirmation of that sentiment every time we have a pullback, because this didn't pull back as much as Bitcoin. It immediately made a new high today like it was nothing. This morning, it pumped on the ETF approval when it was a Bitcoin ETF. Everything to me says that this is the lagger that's just going to fly. I think this thing's going to all-time highs.
100%. I've called it the sleeping giant ever since we got together on this cycle, and I still think that it's waking up, but I don't think it's even gotten going, Scott. I think that, once we get maybe another month into the cycle, I think you're going to really see this start flying. If you look at it right now, where it's at, okay, I actually came on the show. I was on the show on Twitter, but we're at this resistance level right here. And I said, if we break through this resistance level, I think it's a very quick shot to 4,000 where we should find our next kind of resistance. So once we get over this little mark over here, okay, guys, we do have quite some room to run all the way up to 4,600. So that's your levels right there. But really, do you even need levels when you got the green dots? You simply just stay long until it retraces. And if you're not in the move yet, simply go down to your lower time frame, your daily chart, wait for it to retest the track line, have a good reaction, and there you go. There's your next setup. So there it is, right? Also in the daily chart, just like all the other charts, it's so redundant. I mean, I love this because of bull market, you catch all these moves, but they happen over and over. You almost lose complacency with them. Here's the Bs. You got your green dots right after the Bs. This is your setup in a stage 1 basing sideways pattern below the track line. Break above it into stage 2, and you simply just ride the dots in profit, and you don't get out until
I'm just having problems because the market's so bullish now and finding any basing patterns. Now it's like you said, now it's about drilling into lower time frames and finding new entries on the bullish coins. It's very hard to find something that hasn't moved. We were doing 100%. That like 2 months ago,
100%. But Scott, you and I both know that even if you can't catch these stage 2s, this market, in my opinion, is most likely going to go on for another year. We're going to have many corrections, which are going to lead to more stage 1s and stage 3 basing patterns for you to catch these setups. But you have to have either the tools or the know-how to catch those stage 2s. And I've never found an easier way to do it than what I've created. Okay. Yeah. So let's move on here to NEAR. NEAR's another one that I saw in the comments. Okay. Let's start off on the weekly chart of NEAR. Do I even have to talk about this? You do have the bottoms, the green dots, breakout arrow, but we also have this. A lot of times I don't talk about this and give it enough credit. This is our alpha volume. This is recalculated to where everything below this red line is low volume, everything above it is high volume, and everything above the green line is extreme volume. And as you can see, a lot of times this will come into play right as we're having our setups for just that extra confirmation you need to take that entry, okay? And as you can see, it goes up, pulls down. It's so strong, NEAR so strong. This was pretty much what we call the test of the track line. It could not get even nearly there before it starts having a good reaction again and taking off. And you see this a lot of times, right? This line here represents stage 2 happening. A lot of times you'll break out into stage 2. You'll have a little retest of the breakout, green dot reaction, and you're into a continuation stage 2, which is what NEAR is in, right? And again, if you couldn't catch this, simply drop down to your lower time frame and see if you can catch the next move. You kind of missed this one, but there will be another one coming, just like there always is. There's always another setup, Scott. Always.
Yeah. Absolutely, for sure. Okay, so what else you got? Whiff. Is this dog with hat? Yeah, see, I've missed the memes, man.
Man. And this is a sad thing, right? Every time we have the shows, either they pop just the night before. This one's been popping for a moment, but I wanted to bring this to your attention because I think this will be another one, a great one in the bull market that you need to wait for setups like this. And another thing that people don't know, or if you don't know, you can always create setups by right-clicking, right, and creating an alert, right? You can create an alert on our indicators for the squeeze breakouts, for the green dots to start, for all this stuff, for the Bs. So you don't even have to be at the chart. You can set alerts, then come to your phone, let you know, go to your computer, and grab the entry. So I couldn't have made it easier than it is now, Scott. Let's go on to our last coin again, Bitcoin. I don't know why I have this up here. Oh, we already talked about this. This was the daily chart. So Looking pretty good, Scott. I think that if Bitcoin starts to little base here, what I've been watching is possibly a basing pattern to start, a little sideways pattern. And if that does happen, I think that alts are really going to rip. So I've already loaded my bags. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I have. And I said that this morning. I said, listen, if you're still sidelined, I can't help you. Right. So, like, I'm assuming that most people are almost fully deployed, but maybe have some capital in a trading account that they're trading around. And in that case, like, you just have to buy dips when they come. Right. You're going to get these setups, whatever. But yesterday, I mean, you get a 10% correction in a matter of hours in Bitcoin, even more, right? From top to bottom. Alts go down 30%. You get Solana, I think it dropped from 142 to 105. How do you not buy, and then immediately back to 130 today? Like, how do you not buy Solana at a 30%, 27, 28% discount in a matter of hours?
No, I'm
guys. I mean, listen, if you missed it, you were sleeping, whatever. But like, if you're looking at these indicators, the bars are still green, right? So there was no reason to get shaken out. That's why I like this. And you know, it just, these are your chances. Like, you do not get scared and get shaken out on these temporary drops. That was a leverage flush, $1 billion in leverage liquidated. All the funding rates were high. It was the most obvious buying opportunity you're going to get in a while, in my opinion.
100%, 100%. I mean, give me any excuse to talk more about Solana, Scott. My favorite position. You know, all notices out there. This is my biggest bag that I have for this bull market, and you can see that when it starts to pull back, right? You have these huge pullbacks, and the green dots do keep you in the move. But what I wanted to point my attention to is it's so strong that even on the corrections, it cannot test the track line, right? And that's kind of my gauge to gauge how strong that momentum is going, and it has not stopped. I mean, that's the only big pullback we've had, and it couldn't even touch the track line. So I think that's Solana is going much higher. I think we had the same thing that we saw in Bitcoin, which is, you know, is a test of the local highs for this cycle and a little bit of a pullback, right? But we see Bitcoin break those highs or even go sideways, and you're going to see this thing start to shoot higher. You know, it already went to what you said, 142 right there. Yeah, I'm expecting this thing to most likely, in my opinion, do 1.5 times at least what the prior cycle was. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
People think that's crazy, but it's kind of funny when you look at this and you look at maybe Ethereum in the last cycle where you had a retracement from what, 4,900 to $80, or right. No, I mean from 1,400, excuse me, to $80, and then it went to 4,800. From $80 to 4,800, and people think it's nuts that Solana is going to like break its all-time high and do multiples. But if you look at Ethereum last cycle, and the whole narrative around Solana is that like it's the Ethereum of this cycle, that's the ecosystem. You had the $1,400 high, you went up, you know, like 3 or 4x from there. So why wouldn't this do the same from the previous high?
You know, Scott, it's real fun to catch new coins and stuff, but the coins that we've been going over, you can literally trade those throughout the cycle and catch the setups. And you'll do better than most other people if you do it right, especially if you're catching the setups that we say. There's no better way to kind of help your portfolio out by having coins that are bullish in this bull market, that are showing relative strength, right? That's what I look for. I look for the coins that are showing the most relative strength, and I trade them over and over again. It's very rare that I actually go to new coins and trade new coins. You know, once I've found them in the market, right? Like for instance, Render. You know, there's not many coins right now that are making new cycle highs, right? So this is obviously showing a lot of great relative strength. What does that mean? That means that in this market, there's a high probability that Render is going to outperform most of the market again, right? It normally rhymes from the beginning till the end.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Render has the Solana narrative and the AI narrative and the deep in there. I mean, it's got everything. Really quick, I know we've only got like 3 more minutes or whatever, but a question for you specifically from a new member. I thought you'd probably address it. What sensitivity level are you using on the track line?
Oh, this is a great question. So I'm using the high sensitivity, but what I really encourage you to do, right, for those of you that have got the indicators, a lot of them got it today. Just know that I know you're excited to get into this stuff, but when you get the indicators, you will receive an email, and in that email, you'll receive a link to what we call our docs guide, which is the instruction manual.
I did it.
Yes, it's the best. You have to read it. So for you guys that are new, please, please, please go to that. I spent so much time. There's so much wisdom in there for all our tools, more things that I can remember. And in there, it does go over the track line because there are other ways to use it on certain assets with different volatilities. So that medium and low setting does come into play. In fact, I use the low setting for that Luna shorts, right? In the bear market, I shorted Luna all the way to the bottom, and I was using the low setting. So it does come into play, but most of the time when you see my charts on my account, I am using the high setting.
I'm realizing a lot of people here are saying, how do I get the indicators? People saying, where's the sign up link with the discount? I'm realizing that they're commenting from X where it's streaming and they can't see it. Guys, it's in the YouTube description. So you got it right. If you're watching this on X, my previous tweet or 1 or 2 tweets below shows this on YouTube and it's there, but you use the link there and it's 25 off. I should probably go and put it under the video on X, but that's where you get it. So just click on the YouTube link and check it out. Really quick, with 2 minutes left, since you were kind of breaking it down for the newbies, when they sign up, you get these documents, but there's also a community, right? And I'm serious, guys. Literally, I looked at these for months, if not years, and I watched all the videos and read all the research. I happen to have a private helper to walk
sent it
me
to him
through
over
them.
and over.
But
He eventually
I
caught on.
I did. Like I took the time to learn these and vet them. I would not be sharing this if I didn't use it.
Yeah, no,
newsletter. But yeah,
Scott, please let him know that you're absolutely right. So it's not part of what you're paying for, but what I wanted to do is, if you're signing up for a year with us, I wanted to be closer to those members. So what I did was I created a specific VIP part of our Discord, a section of our Discord that has tons of channels, and I am there every single day. So if you're worried that you're new and you're not going to be able to use the indicators, know that any day of the week you can tag me there. I'll go there, I'll help you. And I also do streams. In fact, yesterday, when everything was crashing, right, I went and did a live stream and made sure that I was there with everyone when everyone was worrying, and make sure that they knew what I was thinking and how I was framing the cycle and what was happening. So absolutely, Scott. Let's see. One last thing I'll say is that, yeah, if you want to get the indicators, go to the comments. Scott's got a link down there. And please don't forget to put in 25 off when you're doing it. I can't tell you guys, yeah, 25 off. I can't tell you guys how much gratification I've had from being in this business. We've helped so many people. All you have to do is go through my Twitter page and see all the retweets of people that we've been helping. And I have no problem pushing this product, Scott, because I feel so good about it. We do help a lot of people. So thank you for having me on the show.
I forgot to mention one thing before you go, because I did catch a meme coin and I did do it. I've been sharing it myself in my newsletter over and over and over again, which was SHIB. But then I bought a whole lot more when I saw this. And if anyone's paying attention, this is the weekly. There's your arrow, and this is what happened.
Seriously, when you get that squeeze shading on the weekly, guys, it is literally like a money printer. The probabilities are so high. You set a little shallow stop loss on these things, and your RR is incredible, really, on the weekly.
Look at that. I mean, the arrow is at 819, and this went to, oh my God, I can't even, like 45, 63. It's absurd.
There's no better time to have an edge than in this market when we get it once every 4 years.
Yeah, I'm going to start digging in deep into meme coins. All right, guys, we got to go. This is one of those shows. It's a quick hitter. We do it for 30 minutes. We will be back every single Wednesday. Again, just check out down the description. Wick, man, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know this is like prime trading hours for you. So
it's always a good time, Scott. I have no problem. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, guys, we will see you next week. Peace.
That's dope.